Well, hey, welcome everybody to another Tech Tip Tuesday. My name's Ken Close, Healy World Member USA, an engineer and lover of the product. Here we are, it's September 17th, already the middle of September. Man, we're flying by. And I'm super happy to be joined by Jake Barron, Head of Operations. Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Hello, Ken. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome, welcome. And we have Henry here joining us from the Geek Squad and the super geniuses of the Healy customer service, as well as our onboarding expert. So thank you,
Yes.
Henry, for being here.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Very happy to be here tonight.
Well, now our Geek Squad is growing, and I love it. I'm super happy.
I'm part of the Geek Squad too. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, hey, you guys, if you're new to Tech Tip Tuesday, let me tell you how this fun night works. This is a chat-based forum where you guys put your questions in the chat, and myself and Jake and Henry, we will unpack those questions. We will do our very best to gain clarity for you and probably maybe take a little deep dive into some cool stuff at the same time. So put your questions in the chat. What we can talk about is anything around the tech, the apps, the functions, all kinds of stuff around that. What we can't talk about is anything that has to do with diseases, any prevention or diagnosis, anything like that. We can't do anything in that nature, but we have sources that we could point you to if you got questions around that. Okay, so I say let's get the party started. You guys ready?
Ready to go.
Ready,
Okay,
ready.
excellent. So Julie's got a question about structured water. Can you explain structured water? H30 and how the MagHealy water applications work. So, structured water has got there's a lot of things you can look up online around structured water, and it's really mostly around how water is handled. The dead water, stagnant water, unmoving water is one thing. Structured water has another property to it. But let's just talk about how the MagHealy app works with the water. When we have water that is, I don't know, has information, because water does have information, by the way. It's got a memory. It's kind of like maybe like the hard drive in your computer, right? It's got memory. And so we can program information into it. And the way that we program information into it is through frequencies. And frequencies are wavelengths, right, of information. And so we can program those in through magnetic energy. Magnetic fields oscillate. And these oscillations are the frequencies that is within the field. So we place certain frequencies that we know have characteristics for human advantage or life advantage, I guess you might say. And we're able to transmit those magnetically into the water, and the water remembers that, holds on to that. And when you ingest it, you drink it, essentially you're like getting a capsule full of information, right? And your body then decodes it. Think of water also, once it's in the body, water gets transduced into not just information, but our body uses that in a different way. It's not like the same liquid form. It uses it kind of within almost like in a gelatin mass. So it converts it into usable information. And so therefore the information that's in the water you drink gets digested as well. So it's similar to when we digest food, our system breaks it down and then places it where it needs it. So the MagHealy does that through magnetic energy, folks. It is an oscillated signal that comes out of the MagHealy, and then it penetrates the environment, which you got your MagHealy on top of the water. Well, the environment's the water, right? You guys want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, I just put a note here in the chat. We've been talking quite a bit about the water application recently. Martin Whitman did a great training. Martin Whitman, our chief product officer, did a great training on the MagHealy water application last month on What's Up Wednesday. So I just put the link in the chat here. It takes you directly to that segment that he did So he went in depth really on how it actually works when we're talking about informing water with quantum analyzed frequencies. And as Ken mentioned, the fact that water has a memory. But yeah, I mean, the fact that the MagHealy has 24 programs that allow you to inform your water for a specific purpose. Like once you start doing that, it's kind of like, why am I drinking regular water? So I mean, maybe not every single ounce of water that you drink each day, but it's so easy to do. It only takes 10 minutes to inform water, and that you can drink it within 12 hours after that too. So it's not like you could do a bigger batch or something like that in the morning, or do a few different applications throughout the day. Maybe you do some energy one earlier in the day, and then something else in the evening, the sleep one, to help relax and rest. And then also, we get the question a lot, well, can I mix a bunch of them together? Can I inform it with 3 different programs? And I mean, you can run the program, but it's best to focus on one at a time when you're talking about using the MagHealy Water Application.
Mhm.
Yeah, one might talk about MagHealy infused water as like a structured water. It's structured water is going to have various molecular bonds, right? Which is achieved through lots of ways. Nature does it automatically. The way that the water turbulates and moves through springs and through the natural pathways, it builds certain bonds in the molecular structure of it. So you could do a lot of research. As I was mentioning, like we have a bottled water, right? That water was bottled somewhere and then contained in that container for however long until you ingest it. So it kind of loses some of that bonding capacity that normal water would move through, say, streams that it's agitated, moved over rocks and formations and such. And so that does structuring. Also, water that's run through like a vortex and in spirals and things like that. That's another method. But you can look up all kinds of things about structured water. What we're doing with the magnetic field is informing water. I mean, quite honestly, informing it. So you can do both, right? You can, I mean, people are getting pretty fancy with how they're using the MagHealy and moving water within the container as they're informing it with the magnetic energy. So super great stuff. All right.
Yeah, I also wanted to add that in regards to the water, the memory of the water, like this is one of the main principles that is used in homeopathy for anybody who is like interested in homeopathy. Like I know we have databases in the Healy Advisor Analyze 2 app that uses the creative homeopathy. And that's really how homeopathy works. The more diluted the water, like you can literally grab a small substance and then just mix water 30 times, 100 times, and that water will have memory for every single time they're doing the dilution. So that's really how it works. And homeopathy, like the property that the water has to remember all of these processes is really what in part what the MagHealy uses too when you're informing the water.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you Google the whole H3O concept, you'll probably see things around structured water. But anyway, yes, that's good topic though. The whole concept of water. Remember, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I do a lot of work within the performance world, and the majority of the population is dehydrated. And I'm gonna give you a little formula. When it comes to performance, only 3% dehydration, in other words, just a 3% dehydration in the body, equates to up to 10% loss in muscle strength and over 8% loss in contractile or extension speed. So not only are you losing strength, but you're also losing speed, the reflex ability to navigate just by 3% dehydration. So if you guys could just keep into mind an equation of consuming half your body weight in ounces of water every day. Okay, that's just a little self-care plan. It's the basis for just, it's a standard measurement. You know, if you're working out, it's going to be more than that. If you're in some of the hotter climates, you're outside, it's going to be more than that because your body's going to be expiring and losing water. But just keep that in mind. So half your body weight in ounces. So in other words, if you guys are in the metric system, you have to convert that. But if you're 100 pounds, that's 50 ounces a day. Okay, 50 ounces a day. Now, not just in the morning. You're not gonna. It's throughout the entire day. Spread it out so that you're getting a full. It's like, you know, it's like taking your meals 3 times a day, right? Same thing with water, guys. Hydration. I can't tell you how important that is, especially when we're working with Healy and the microcurrent and the magnetic information field. Super important to make sure your body can assimilate that. Remember, you've heard me talk before on this program about the body being a walking, talking antenna. Well, a good portion that makes it conductive is the water factor that's in your body. The more dehydrated you are, the harder to get information through. So, I've cleared up so many health issues just by changing someone's hydration level. It's a big difference. Let's see. Anything else, you guys? I don't think we have too many questions. It's kind of a quiet crew so far.
Oh, there we go. Dorset, do you know anything about neodymium magnet jewelry? Does it interfere with what Healy does? Does provide EMF protection?
Yeah, systems that that build electromagnetic nullification, right, or shielding. Those systems are going to have an effect on Healy's transmission or MagHealy's transmission of magnetic energy. Think about it. I mean, what's EMF? Electromagnetic force, right? EMF. And now, sadly, that EMF has gotten a bad rap because it's every time we move information from one point, invisible information from one point to another, it's done with a magnetic wave. Okay. That magnetic wave carries information, right? It is the magnetic wave as it moves through space. When it encounters a conductor, it induces electron flow. So now we have electromagnetic force, right? So not all EMF is bad. It's different frequencies. But if you're wearing magnetic shielding, then you're going to hinder Healy's ability to, now it's not the same if you're using the microcurrent. The microcurrent is direct electron flow through the body. But when you're using Healy with the coil or the MagHealy, you're going to build a shielding with any of that kind of those systems.
And let's not forget also about natural EMFs. Like a lot of people think it's only like from antennas or like phones, whatever. Like the Earth has its own magnetic field. The solar radiation, that's in itself a magnetic field. Like even lightning has its own magnetic field. Like there's just so many natural EMF, but as you said, it has a bad rep. Like people think of EMFs and it's like, oh, it's bad.
It's super true. Now science is measuring magnetic fields within forests, and you can feel it. If you've ever been out in the forest, folks, you know what I'm talking about, right? You move out into a forest, and there is forest bathing, which is a bathing of frequency of energy, right, from the plant life, and so it is a wave. It's a waveform that can be measured. So very useful stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So Rhonda says that let's see, my Healy ends early almost all programs I do. Does this mean I've had enough? I've already reset. So are you watching now? In this, yes, it could be that remember Healy, as you're running a pink app, right? The microcurrent or coil type of transmission. It's measuring you every at the point in which it's doing the infusion portion of the program. It's measuring your body's resonance with every frequency it's administering, every one, right? And when you get up to 100%, well, you probably won't even see the 100%. You might see like 94, 96, but you'll see that frequency not come back around through that rotation. When it gets done with all those, your body is done. And this is why I always tell people, I said, Healy is just not going to give you what you don't need, because it's measuring you. It's once it becomes resonant, it's like a full cup. It's full. It's not going to keep running until it's over full. It's done. So keep an eye on what I recommend. And I've done this before too, when people are saying, hey, it stops early. Keep an eye on the program and watch the frequencies and the progress report that you're seeing. You'll see that move from, whether it's negative 99% all the way up to positive 99%. Each frequency is going to have that. And if you'll notice that the program, when you start it, it says maximum duration, right? In the app, it says maximum duration, maybe, 72 minutes, whatever it is. It says maximum duration. It doesn't just say duration, because maximum duration means that that's as long as it's going to go. Not as short as it's going to go, but as long as it's going to go. So if you are complete with every frequency, your body's complete ahead of that 72 minutes or whatever it is, yeah, it's gonna shut off. So
Yeah, I think, I've noticed that sometimes we're not talking 10 or 20 minutes early, but you might be looking at it, oh, I have 8 minutes left or something, and you turn around 2 minutes later and it's done. I think as long as you get that program completed successfully message, you're good. But if the program's just gone or something like that, and the app closed or the just lost some sort of connection, that kind of thing, that's a different issue there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a significant thing to remember. What Jake said there is completed successfully. A little message at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's keep an eye out for that. Okay.
This is interesting. I don't think I've ever heard. So Lindley mentioned I have case of the opposite. So even after the time is up, the program keeps running. One kept running over 20 minutes and stopped because the battery had run out. Have either of you experienced the program?
I personally haven't, but I
longer?
do see that Julie said that she had a similar situation that said that the program was over in time, but the frequency still went after. Yeah, I've personally never had that happen to me, honestly.
Yeah, and that would be, I would be interested to see, like, okay, so you said that the timer runs out, right? So if you come into the end of the timer, and then it's still rotating through programs or through frequencies. Is it still rotating through frequencies, or is it like stopped on one frequency, right? And the timer is done, and like the screen is frozen or something, I mean, are you still like experiencing, if you're doing the microcurrent, experiencing a microcurrent, are the green and the blue lights still flashing, right? There's certain parameters around that, if we could track that kind of stuff and give us some feedback. And definitely, there are suggestions within the app you can put out there. And, if you guys could create a ticket to give those details, it'd be really good for the developers to know this stuff, right? The details are very important. And that's like Lindley's saying, okay, kept rotating through the frequencies. And yes, everything was running as usual. So in other words, the timer stops, right? Frequencies are still rotating, so they're still going through, they're still seeing progress shifts, all the content that's going on there within the app, like it's running properly, but there's no timer. That's good information. And because the development team would be able to see your serial number, right? Your product, and be able to take a look and see, hey, is there something going on here? Yeah, good stuff to know. Okay. Good question here. Rhonda's talking about the adhesive pads. Do they work the same as the wristbands? And do we need to put water on them inside the wrist? So let's look at this for a second from a conductive perspective. Okay, I'm an engineer. I got to look at everything, how we're transferring information or energy from one point to another, like a set of wires, right? So the wristband itself, depending on the diameter of your wrist, right, and where you're putting it, the wristband is going to have most likely, I mean, unless you're a super teeny wrist, most likely more surface area contact with your skin than the sticky pad. Now, the sticky pad is designed to also transfer current into the body. Keep in mind that the surface area contact, the wristband versus the sticky pad, you're going to have more intensity. Okay, so when you're putting electrons, let's say you have a bucket of electrons and you're going to pour one bucket of electrons like through a huge pipe and another bucket of electrons through a teeny little hose. All right, but you got to get the same amount of electrons per minute going through. Okay, so the intensity with the small tiny hose is going to be higher than the intensity with a great big old pipe. So you may feel sensations more with the sticky pads, and you may need to down regulate or decrease the intensity because of the concentration of energy in one smaller point. Okay, does that make sense? So yes, they both do the same thing. You may have adjustments in intensity. You don't necessarily need to put water on the sticky pad, however, because the sticky pad is designed to be sticky, thus its name. But sometimes those sticky pads get dirty. Yeah. If you've used them a lot of times, they may get dirty. So you can take those sticky pads, you can run them over warm water, and with your finger, just rub them under warm water and shake them off. Don't use a towel or any kind of rag or any kind of abrasive anything, and no soaps or anything, just warm water, shake them off, put them back on that clear sticky pad or the clear film, let them dry. That rehydrates them and you can get more use out of them. And they may even conduct better for you. You can take them after shaking them off from clean them and stick them around your skin. Just hold them on there for a second. They will restick. But I usually put them back on and let them kind of settle down, dry out a little bit and then reuse them. So you don't necessarily need the water, but now you know the difference in how the sensation may be, right? And why. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so Julie's giving a little follow-up, right? Okay. So Julie says the Healy was acting normal. Can't remember if it swapped frequencies, but it didn't run out of battery. It just decided to stop with a good 10 or 15 minutes. So that's good information. 10 minutes, I wouldn't be so surprised. 20 minutes, I may be surprised if it ended that far early in terms of a program, because you can finish up early. Some of the longer programs, your body's going to absorb frequencies because it's running through those for a wider bandwidth of time. It could end 10 minutes early, but not 20, probably not.
Yeah.
You probably want to know what's going on with that. Maybe do a support ticket.
Yeah, I did see that Dor said, do you need to be running with Bluetooth to see that? I think she's referring to that completed screen that I mentioned. So yeah, I mean, normally you will need to have your Healy connected in order for you to actually be able to see the completed screen. What may happen is that if you, let's say you close the app while you were using your Healy, the Bluetooth connection gets interrupted. So at that point, you won't really be able to visualize anything of what the Healy is doing on your phone. But then by the time you come back, if the program already ended, it is possible for you that when you open the app, you get a screen saying, hey, your program has been completed. But normally, if you really want to see that screen and you really want to make sure that that it's completed, you will want to have the app open as the program is running. But again, I have seen the message even after the app has been closed. Like I reopen it, it detects that there was a program running before and it tells me, hey, your program has been completed. But yeah, to make sure, you can always, what I usually recommend is to open your app maybe like 5 minutes before the program ends. So let's say the program lasts 40 minutes, you can come back when it's been like 35 minutes. And that way you can make sure that everything is running. And that way you can also, build that confidence that everything is working fine. And that way you don't even need to look at the screen at that point.
Yeah, I often ask people, go ahead, Jake, you were going to say something?
No, I was gonna say absolutely. It was a great tip.
Yeah, I often ask folks, what's the driver for turning the app off, right? And a lot of times it's because I don't want the Bluetooth to be running, okay? And I will then ask the question, are you sensitive to that frequency? Or is it something that maybe you've heard that it was not good? It's important to understand our own sensitivity. It's also important to understand that Healy uses Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE. It is super low energy. In other words, it really doesn't transmit very much power at all, and not for very much of a distance. So you can start your program if you're running the Healy and you got it connected to you. You can start the program and then turn off the app, and then just keep an eye on the green light. But again, it's like, how do you know? Are you watching your watch as to when it's time to be done? How do you know it's shutting off early? It's only unless you're back, like Henry said, go back to the app at least 5 minutes before it shuts down, or where you predict it's going to shut down, and take a look at where it's at, where it really truly is. And remember, when you open the app again after shutting it off, you're going to want to say continue as opposed to reset anything, so it can get you right back into the spot where that program was running.
Yeah, I mean, she mentioned when I reopen it, it's always at the beginning. So if you reopen it before the program finishes, you'll get a message that says this program has been running for X number of minutes, and then you can continue to pick right back up where you are, or see the display, the progress indicator, that kind of thing as well. If it's always at the beginning, either the program's already completed, or you also want to keep in mind when you disconnect from Bluetooth, when you start the program, say it's a 60-minute program, you disconnect from Bluetooth right away, you should see the green light on your Healy flashing for the 60-minute duration, and then it stops when the program is completed there too. So, if you don't want to connect to Bluetooth again, you can always just look down at your Healy. Okay, is the green light flashing? Yes. Okay, the program's still running at that point too. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little demonstration here, kind of give you guys a little show as to how what we're talking about looks on both on your screen and then also on the Healy. As Jake said, there are lights on here. Without your app, there are lights on here that gives us information about what's going on with the hardware. If the blue light and the green light are flashing, that means it's running a program and it's connected via the Bluetooth signal wirelessly to your smart device, right? And there's information going back and forth. Now, Healy is pretty much doing all the work, right? The app is just like the monitoring device, like the screen on your computer you're on. You're just monitoring what's going on. So the app is just a monitoring device. And so you can turn that monitoring device off, aka the app, and Healy's hardware and the software is going to continue working inside. So, but I want to show you now what happens, because if we turn off the app or hard close it or turn off the Bluetooth signal, whatever, as Jake mentioned, the Bluetooth light's going to go off, but the green light's going to still flash only as long as the program is being run. Now, as earlier said, if all the frequencies are utilized in your body's fully resonant with all frequencies, then that green light is going to go off, even if the timer has not expired yet. Okay. You won't know that if you haven't watched the app. You won't know unless you've set a timer somehow and you're watching for that 72 minutes to end. Right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to bring my phone on here, and then we'll just do a little bit of examples here so you guys can see what's going on, what it looks like.
Okay, while you're doing that, there was a question that Julia, just to confirm, no, Rhonda, sorry, mentioned just to confirm there's no water needed on the wristbands. So if you have good conductivity, you're not getting any sort of error message, there's no need to put water on the wristbands. But if you have really dry skin, or you're at 100% intensity and you're still getting the message that, frequency is generated but no currents flowing, that kind of thing, then you might need to wet the wristbands just a little bit, or try tightening them a little bit, or moving them further up on the wrist so there's more skin to contact if you have thinner wrists.
Exactly. Let's just take a look at all that real quick, because I think that'd be kind of useful, right? That we can take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and let's share my screen here, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. The app itself is, you guys know what it looks like on your phone, right? So let's take a look at what it looks like here on the screen for a second. So when we're on the app, okay, there's the app. So I'm running my favorite program, Muscle. This is something I do every day. Why? Not just because of having muscle, but our muscle, by the way, folks, has a 64% influence on our immune system. How is that? What do you mean? Right? Well, think about this. Your entire endocrine system, your lymphatic system, right? It doesn't have its own pump. Everything that moves that lymphatic fluid is your muscle. And so by moving your body, you move that fluid, AKA improve the excretion and the absorption systems within the cell. So your immune system is increased. All right. So let me show you how this works. So here I am running the program, and it's in the initial stages where it hasn't gotten to the progress report. It's just kind of seeking me and finding resonance. And the Healy itself, you see that the green light and the blue light are flashing because I'm connected to the app, right? All right. So if I hard close this app, or if I just disconnect from the program, in other words, see the little arrow at the top left? If I disconnect from the program, I'm going to stop it. That's different than if I hard close the app. So I'm sitting here on my phone, and you know how whatever your phone is, Android or Apple, you can hard close the app and it's going to shut down that function. So if you take a look at the timer, it's at 34 minutes and 34 seconds, 32 and so on. It's running frequencies as usual on the screen there. It's 915 hertz right now. But let me show you something before I leave here. Let me show you something what happens if I was to lose contact. You were just talking about that. Do you need water under the wristbands or not? If I have this wristband on and maybe it's too loose, right? And it's just moving around on my wrists, then you'll see this signal here, this message. Frequencies are being generated, but there's no measurable current flowing. Why? Well, because this wristband is really not getting very good connection with my skin, and it needs so. Now, let's say my skin is dry, or now we're coming up into winter. That's going to be an issue perhaps in some regions where the air is drier, skin is drier. People are putting maybe moisturizers on their skin. Remember, the moisturizers, folks, are barriers. They're insulators. And so it can hinder the connection that you have the wristband to the skin. So, so keep that in mind. To help that out, you can moisturize. You can wet it. Now, when I say moisturize, I'm not talking about a lotion. I'm just talking about just water. And what I usually do is I will take and I will just simply run my hand under the faucet real quick. I'll throw the wristband on and dab whatever extra water off, and I'm done, right? Once the wristband is on, your body's natural perspiration and such will keep a good connection underneath. It's usually you don't have to re-wet it. Another thing is you'll see the signal goes away. If I happen to lose connection, I've unplugged it, something happens here, right? Or a wire goes bad or whatever. It's the same thing. Wire goes bad, it's the same thing as if I unplugged it. But you see that you get the same message. So we want to make sure we're connected. If you need moisture or water, then use it. If you don't. You're not, this message right here, what you're seeing here. Oh, I'm getting a call.
Yeah, I got a spam call.
I love those. Not. Yeah, it's funny. I should put this thing in airplane mode while I'm doing this, right? Okay, anyway, so this is kind of really important that we know that if we are properly connected and hydrated, you will not get that message that says, you know, frequencies are being sent, but no current flow. All right, let's go back on and let's get rid of that call. So I want to show you how that works. Okay. We got to reconnect here again. Sorry, guys.
Sure, no problem.
I think I lost my.
Another thing I'd like to usually recommend members is that if you ever have trouble with a program getting that conductivity warning to go away, try with a different program because the frequencies that the program contains may also vary. So, you know, if you really want to make sure that all your accessories are working properly and the issue is actually the skin resistance, I always encourage you to maybe try any of the programs from the gold cycle. Those are usually really good when it comes to conductivity. So try those. And then the other thing that you can do, which I know it's a method that Ken has shown in the past, is that you can grab both wristbands and put them together. And that way you can also confirm that the accessories are working properly because you remove your body from the equation. So that way you can confirm that everything is working. If you get conductivity with the cables and the wristband by themselves, then at that point, it's really just a matter of modifying a little bit the configuration when it comes to attaching everything to your body.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, we've gone through this pretty easy little way of testing your hardware, right? And as Henry said, you're the only unknown in the equation, right? Your body. So we want to make sure that we adjust for that. The other thing, again, it's really significant. What Henry said was that when we are operating with these different frequencies, right? The frequency itself, the lower frequencies have a harder time getting through the body. So you see right here, I'm at 3.6 hertz on there, and it shows I'm at negative 99%. Here I'm at 3.21 K hertz. K stands for kilogram or thousands of hertz, right? So, 1.4 hertz is a very low frequency, meaning it could take more energy to get through my body. I'm at 45%. You see at the bottom of the screen down there, 45% on intensity, and it's still flowing. Okay. So that's some things to keep in mind when you're using this. Watch the frequencies. When you lose signal and you haven't changed anything, you haven't unplugged anything, you haven't changed anything, it's probably something to do with the frequency itself, not so much the connectivity of you. And so you'll want to take a look at that and increase the intensity a little bit to see if that changes. The sweet spot of where you set that intensity, the percentage there at the bottom of the screen, is where you raise it to a point where you just barely feel it and then click it back one, just back one. You don't want to need, and that's going to change. Lower frequencies, you may feel more than the higher frequencies. Okay, so you see conductivity, you see the program running, you see that I have 28 minutes and 50 some seconds. Now, if I hard close this app, okay, now my Healy, the green light still is flashing, but the blue light goes off, right? Remember, we were at 28 seconds or 28 minutes and some odd seconds. Now, I go back to the app, I reopen it. It's going to take a second because now it's looking for my Healy again, right? I got some options there. Which Healy is it connected to? Well, let's click on that. I'll say connect. It's going to go back to the Healy, and the green or the blue light starts to flash again. Okay, so that means Bluetooth signaling between the smart device and the app has continued. Now, we want to say continue here, okay? And don't say cancel. You want to say next here because when you say next, it's going to open that program. It's going to show you that it was been running for a certain period of time. It's going to go right back to where we were before. Remember when we left? We were at 28 minutes and 50 some seconds. Now we're at 27 minutes and 40 some seconds. So you can see that the program was still running on the Healy hardware, even though the app was off and the Bluetooth was off. You see that? Okay. Does that help? Hopefully that clears up some things, folks. And I won't get any more spam
Exactly, yeah.
calls.
So Dory, had the question about, if she disconnects Bluetooth, what Ken just demonstrated there is what it would look like if you connect again and go back into it. But yeah, if your program is already completed and your Bluetooth is off, then everything's off. The device has shut down already at that point, which would explain why you're not seeing some sort of confirmation there.
All right, and I'm going to continue running this program in the background while we're on here. At the end of the program, it's going to say completed successfully. Actually, we're going to probably end our call before it does, but
yeah, if you want to stay on with Ken for another 20 minutes after the call, feel free to do so.
We'll watch the program and we'll watch the muscle growing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you'll be able to see Ken transition to Superman at the point.
But I think it's important, folks, that you do run this kind of stuff, not just because it's about building muscle or that. It is muscle has a lot of attributes, folks, besides just moving the body. It increases immune system, and it is our friend. We want to make sure that lean tissue is supported, and Healy's got a program here to do so.
Exactly. So next question here from Julie. Great question. We'll probably be getting this more over the next few days and weeks, but says, will everyone be getting the new energy cycle in the Analyse app? So there was an update a couple days ago to the Analyse app, and then for anybody that has an Obsidian edition, they will now be able to do a resonance analysis just on the energy cycle program group. So that wasn't, even though the Obsidian's been available for a little bit of time now, you couldn't do an analysis just on that program group. So the key thing to point out here, as far as everybody goes, everybody will be able to see the program if you're running an analysis for all Healy programs. So if you pick that top option where it's got all the different program groups, you could get some results for programs in your top 5 that are from the energy cycle, which you could then in turn vibrate those programs as part of your top 5. But if you don't have an Obsidian edition, you will not be able to run an analysis specifically on the energy cycle program group. So that's exclusive to anyone that has the Obsidian edition, part of the VIP Obsidian club there as well. But you get a little taste of it as part of the all Healy programs. And again, you can't pick to receive those. It just whatever comes up with your analysis, you may or may not see them. But yeah, if you're looking specifically to do a resonance analysis just on the 12 energy cycle programs, you would need to purchase or earn one of the Obsidian editions.
You know what Jake said there, you guys, is very significant. We do these analysis within like these large databases, and then something comes up that may contain many programs, right? It's a category that has, if it's the energy cycle, 12 programs within this category. So when it comes up on your scan and you run it, just remember you're running the entire category, right? That means that there's frequencies in that category. If there's 12 programs, each program could have hundreds of frequencies associated with it based on what its purpose is or its job is, right? So you could have a lot of content being run in there within that database. So, and not that it's not effective, it is. But when you're trying to find out which exact program within a group it's identifying, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Laura has a comment here. Says, I see that's why some of the pain stimulation programs are touchy like that. So remember the ones that run the stimulation, whether on the pain page or on like acute, they only run short periods of time and few frequencies, maybe even
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
Right? So the oscillation and the shifts is not very much, and they don't have that progress system that says, you know, it's targeted. It's targeted, and it's pretty much targeted the same no matter who's connected to it. So yeah, you're gonna in their lower frequencies. So you may need to up the intensity, right? Well, there's that sweet spot. Remember, I can't remember. When Healy first came to the U.S., so many people were like, "Yeah, I'm feeling it." They're going crazy. God, not the idea. It was hard to get through to folks where, and again, I work with a lot of athletes. More is better, right?
Yeah.
Let's grind through it. It's like, look, this is the information field, right? This is working subconsciously and below your awareness. If you're feeling it, you're actually moving away from some of the advantages. So let's stop and back up a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. A good question, Dory says, does the Healy battery get used up faster with Bluetooth on? Yeah, there's a bit of a higher consumption of current with the Bluetooth on. Yes. Yes. The percentage is not high, but it is there is a percentage. I mean, well, even if you just look at, there is a Bluetooth light flashing, right? Now, remember, it's flashing at a rate of 1 flash per second. So first of all, it's not a constant on, meaning that's already removed a lot of the power consumption because it's only 1 per second. So, maybe 30 times a minute. So also it is a LED. An LED takes like 7/10 of an amp, very small amounts. Actually, these are even less because they're tiny. Very, very little current flow to light them up. But you're also engaging the Bluetooth circuitry, which is that wireless chip. So yeah, just
Yeah,
like
same with MagHealy, right, Ken? If you have Bluetooth connected, or if you have it in position 3 where all the lights are, flashing on the sides, you're going to use a little bit more, but it's not a significant amount. You're not going to get an extra hour of usage or something like that if you don't have those on. So,
no, it is not that big of, it's minutes versus hours. It's not
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. With the MagHealy, same thing. The more lights that are on, the more that Bluetooth is, that chip is engaged. Yes. No different than your smart device, by the way, folks. When you're running your Bluetooth, as well as, this is why we talk about a lot of times to close all the unused apps in the background, hard close them, right? Or what, maybe you're also familiar with the word forced close, but that means hard close the apps in the background. And if you don't know how to do that, I guarantee you're running too many right now. Right now, you're running too many if you don't know how to do that. If you don't know how to hard close an app on your smart device, go to YouTube. Just type in there in the search bar, how to hard close an app on my Android, whatever, or on my iPhone, whatever. And there'll be some expert on there with a nice little video on how to do that. But take a look at how that's done, and make sure you do close all those apps in the background when you're running your Healy. And I always encourage people, especially when you're doing the analysis, any of the analysis, whether it's the MagHealy or the Healy analysis. Why? Because there is it's a resource hungry system, right? Healy wants to be able to use all of its resources on your smart device that it can get its hands on. And so you need to shut down everything that's using up stuff. Like let's just say you've got your email app open, right? Guess what it's doing? It's going out through your Bluetooth or through your Wi-Fi, checking for mail, bringing it back to your phone, and putting it on your app. Then going out and checking again, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, very high rate, many times per hour, per minute. So it's using up battery. It's also using up resources. All right. Healy, let's see. So Julie's got battery death. Has anyone with an original Healy 4 or 5 years old had a battery completely die yet? There is a battery life expectancy. I have one. Actually, the one I've got right here is my very first one. It's over 5 years old. All right. And still going strong. Now, does that mean that all of them out there? So Henry would know better than me. Jake would know better than me.
Yeah, I mean, Henry, I mean, in the course of 4 or 5 years, have we replaced devices or someone had to buy a new one because of the battery? Sure. But as Ken mentioned, there's a lot of battery devices out there that are that age that are still running great. I have one that's almost 4 years old now. Not this one, the one right now, because it's the Obsidian one, which is brand new, but that's the battery still works fine as well. Really no difference as far as the number of programs that I can run and that kind of thing too. So
October 13th, this one will be 5 years old.
wow. We'll have to have an anniversary party for it.
I have a party every year. It's my 5-year-old little baby right here.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. So October 13th, it's like, I mean, I do rotate through several Healys, and I do use the battery completely. When I strap one on, believe me, folks, it's with me until the battery dies, and then I'll switch it out.
Yep.
But that's how I work. I don't. It's very good practice, by the way, to take your Healy and run it all the way through its battery life, right? In a single use, not like all in one day, but don't charge it until you've used it completely. I do that probably at least 90% of the time with my Healys. This is why I'm going to get the max life out of the battery, is because I'm using it fully. It's like having a thoroughbred, horse that you work good and hard and then you rest, right? But you work really hard and then you rest. Okay.
No, I was also telling Julie that if for some reason anybody who has had their Healy for many years, and if for some reason it stops working, you don't have your warranty anymore, remember that you are more than welcome to take advantage of that fee replacement option that it's right on the website. You just need to log in into your account, and there's going to be a section right there that under the services replacements, and you can basically get a brand new Healy with a 2-year warranty, all of the accessories, all of your programs, and you will basically get it replaced. So you can definitely take advantage of that if you are out of warranty. But my recommendation, honestly, is to reach out to us for support first, just to make sure, because there may be something we can do. Because I mean, it has happened to us that members reach out to us for support saying, "Oh, my Healy is not working, my Healy is working," and then it gets solved. So before you go and spend money, I definitely encourage you to first reach out to us for help.
Absolutely. And if you're using maybe if you're using the original charging cable that came with it for the last 4 or 5 years, it's possible the cable could be bad, not the Healy device too. So yeah, definitely reach out to support. They'll guide you through all the troubleshooting steps you can try before you would need to go through and actually purchase a replacement.
When I first got my Healy, I was like super fixed on every program, on how the app worked, how long everything. Like my engineering brain was going nuts. I was like completely fixed on like how long, what programs consume more energy or what I thought would deplete the battery faster. All kinds of things. I was doing all kinds of little tests with this thing, and I noticed that it was pretty faithful. The thing that really shifted some of the battery consumption was the intensity that I used, whether I was connected via the wristbands or just using it with the Healy Advisor Analyse, right? Those are some factors. But sometimes, I had a couple of times it wouldn't turn on, but I back up, take a look at the process, and found out I was the fault, right? It was something I was not doing wrong or right for it to connect. So as Henry said, yeah, let customer service interview your condition, your problem, your issue, and maybe solve it before you guys spend that money on that new one.
Yep. Okay, we got just a couple minutes left, and I want to make sure I cover these next 2 topics. Not questions here, but a couple upcoming events. So next week, we are not going to have Tech Tip Tuesday on Tuesday. Sorry to disappoint everybody. But we are actually going to have a special Healy for Beginners and Beyond on Monday. So this coming Monday, September 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And let me share my screen here. So we, for the first time ever on Healy for Beginners and Beyond, are going to have Martin Whitman, our Chief Product Officer, is going to do an in-depth training on the Bach Flower Remedies database, which you'll find in the Healy Analyze Resonance module. So this will be a very cool topic here. There's some great content that he's put together specifically on this database. And a lot of us have heard about Bach Flower Remedies, but maybe don't know all the details as far as where they came from and kind of the benefits of these as well. So definitely tune in for this. You can scan this QR code that you see here. It'll take you right to the link to register, or you can go to, I'll put the full link into the chat here as well, that you can use to register as well. And then also just wanted to point out here, this is our events calendar. This is Healy Americas events.com. And you'll see this is the place to go for the most up-to-date event information. You see here, next Tuesday, Tech Tip Tuesday showing as canceled. There actually is an opportunity meeting that's going to be presented in Spanish at that same time next Tuesday at 8 p.m. So if anyone on your team would be interested in that, you can click this link and it'll take you to the page to register. But you'll see here, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. You can also click on this link to take you to the registration page as well.
Don't miss it, you guys. If you're not familiar with Bach Flower, I go there and you'll find, I think probably find a whole love for that database.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it until I started with Healy, and then started to learn more and more about it. And then people were telling me more and more about it. And, it's a very useful tool because you can do the analysis and then you can go out and find those particular plants and herbs and things, right? And then you can make tea and you can use them, right? And get like a twofer. You got the energy from the field and the energy from the substance. Of course, it's great. All right. Yeah, you do have to register for that, right?
Yes.
Yes. So don't forget, folks, to register. Okay. Lightning round, last couple minutes.
Well, also, sorry, I forgot one other event related note. Join us tomorrow for What's Up Wednesday. We were off last week, but this tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And on the product side, we're actually going to have a training by Kai Schulmeyer, our product marketing specialist, is doing a training on natural cycle. So any questions you have as far as what exactly the nitro cycle module is, has prepared a great training for us also.
Don't miss it. Okay, so last little topic here. So Julie says, her Healys are fine, but talking about the battery, right? Her Healys are fine. And just wondering how many years the likelihood for something going on. And there is a spec within the owner's manual around the prediction, or every manufacturer gives a prediction of how many cycles, I guess you might say, how many charge and discharge cycles. And I think Healy predicts it at 500. But
I mean, you have to put something in there, so it's listed like that. But yeah, a lot of people are way beyond the 500 at this point.
I know. I think I am. I use this guy a lot. So
yeah,
I think I'm beyond that. So there's got to be something. We got to give parameters on everything. Okay, guys. Well, hey, thanks, Henry. Thanks, Jake. Awesome. Thanks again for being here and all your awesome contributions. Thank you, audience. I appreciate you guys being here. Of course, if this was useful to you, invite somebody, not next week, but the week after. And definitely join us tomorrow for What's Up Wednesday and the Healy for Beginners and Beyond episode. You're going to love it.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Henry. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.